Oh, you're gonna have a podcast? That's
Yeah, I've
cool.
been recording. I haven't released any episodes yet, but I have like 10 or 11 banked up. I keep just like talking myself out of it. Imposter syndrome is a lot.
I'm so glad you mentioned that because that was like one of my big questions to get
Really?
started. Yeah. So Charles, I don't know if you
Yeah.
want to intro because I just like
You're ready.
I'm ready. Let's
Right.
go.
Let's go.
Let me make sure I have my notes up. Which phone did I type that on? This phone.
Can you pass me that lip gloss right there?
All right. Bio.
On the chair. On the white chair. Thank you. Okay.
All right, cool. This is the Millionaire Talk Show, and my name is Charles Oglesby, also known as Top Millionaire, here with my co-host, Miss Michelle Welch. Hello, hello. Thank you guys all for tuning in. The purpose of this podcast is to share the stories of successful African-American business owners and investors so that people can hear the stories of successful owners because they do exist, contrary to the media. We want people to learn that business and investing are the true keys to financial success and generational wealth. With us today, we have EllieTalksMoney. She really needs no introduction. You guys all know who she is. She has grown a massive brand online. She crushed it with digital products. She's crushing it with in-person events. She's just grown her brand and her influence so much. And so it really is an honor to have her on the show. Welcome.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here. You probably know this, but you were the first person I was ever an affiliate for. You were the first person that I ever really looked to say, you know what, if this person can do this, I can do this, So you have been my number one inspo for a long time. I just don't know if I ever got to tell you.
Well, thank you. For those who maybe know you but don't know much of your story, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Absolutely. So my name is Ellie, y'all. I am 29 years old. And I'm a mom. I have 4 babies. 2 of them are twins, and it's their birthday today, actually. So shout out to Raheem and Rahima. They turned 3. But I started my coaching and consulting business officially about a year and a half ago. In the pandemic, I always tell people that I was really just I think thrust into starting a business. The circumstances under which I started weren't ideal. I had just gotten a divorce in February of 2020, and I was living at home with my mom with 4 kids, no job, no money, and the stimulus checks came. And I just really, although it was just $1,200 for me individually, I really just saw that as an opportunity to go all out. I think when you're at the bottom, you feel like, what else could go wrong? Like, what else could I lose? So I said, let me just take what I know how to do from my corporate days and start a coaching business. And here we are. 2 years later.
What was your corporate job? What were you doing in corporate?
Yeah, so I've always worked in finance and more specifically as a director of sales. So I worked for startup companies in the financial industry like fintech. So the first company I worked for was American Express. And then where I got most of my experience was working for a life insurance company that we would use technology in order to do our actuary tables, so it's just a little more techy. But I worked in the sales department there. So I was always working with marketing, always working with our scaling. And that was for about 4 years. And once I was laid off from that job, even though I had all that great experience, I applied to 50 other jobs and nobody would hire me. I don't know why, I just couldn't get a job. So I decided to take what I learned and just start coaching people in sales and business.
That's interesting. I'm curious, what was life like growing up for you?
Wow. So growing up was interesting. I grew up with a single mom. I'm really close with my dad, but they're just, they divorced. And I lived in Compton, California. So I grew up in Compton, but I went to school all the way in Pasadena. So my mom and my parents, wanted me to have the best education. So I was commuting an hour a day to go to Pasadena, where I went to a private school from age 9 all the way till graduating high school. So growing up was interesting, you know, being at that private school. I really, from a young age, understood the differences between wealth and non-wealth. And I knew that I was of the non-wealth group because all of my friends had so much money. I would go to their houses and be like, what is happening here? You know, and they would talk to me about what their parents did and the salaries they made. And just, I, from a young age, recognized that if I wanted to live like that, I was going to need to do something different that my parents obviously weren't doing. And no shade to them. I love my parents, but I just very early understood what it meant to have money and what it meant to not have money.
I've never heard anybody say that, but I've heard people have similar experiences where they went to a school when they were exposed to something and that changed their mind. I've never heard somebody connected to their immediate family, but it's true. It makes perfect sense.
It's really true.
Seeing all that, is that kind of what pushed you to go out there and like hustle and grow these things?
You know, it really did, especially after, you know, after getting my divorce at 27, I kind of like looked at my life, right? And I thought about, if I continue down this path, now I'm a single mother with kids. I'm currently receiving social assistance. You know, my mom was also a single mother who was, you know, had a good job, was doing her best to make ends meet. And it started to look like it was this close to the pattern repeating itself, you know, and I wasn't okay with that. I was very afraid to start my business, but I was more afraid of being in the same situation in 3 or 4 years. That terrified me. So I just knew I had to do it. I'm like, I don't know anything about Instagram. I was never on Instagram before I started my business. I didn't even like Instagram like that. But when I thought about not providing for my children, so that is definitely what made me say, you know, I have to just try. I just have to try. I have to start creating content and going live. You know, really, it came down to that. It's really what it came down to.
That's super interesting. And I have like something similar, except for I was like the other end of the spectrum. I was in private school. My parents had money. I grew up in entrepreneurship. So for me, like they had daycare. So I saw a lot of single moms. I saw that. And I had the same kind of like pivoting moment, like, oh my God, am I going to be what, you know, social norms are? And it was just like, no. So just really quick, is there anything that you want to say for single moms? Because me being a single mom and having a nonprofit that is for single parents, I understand like that struggle and not believing in yourself. So real quick, can you drop something for any of the single parents in general that may be listening and can just use a little bit of encouragement?
Definitely, you know, I have such a soft spot for single parents and single mothers, especially. And, you know, I just want you all to know that what you're going through right now, it may not seem like it, but it's really shaping you to be the best person that your kids need, you know? And a lot of the time, sometimes we talk about kids as a burden. And yes, it does make things more challenging. It's true. Having children and doing anything makes it harder, but it also makes it more worthwhile. And it also is your supreme source of motivation, you know? So when you're in those moments where you feel like, how are you going to pull through? Is it going to work? Just know as well that God wouldn't have put you in that situation if you couldn't handle it, you know? And that's what I had to realize. Although it was terrible being alone with 4 children, I also had to realize that I was obviously supposed to be there, and there is always going to be a way that is made. Just continue to push forward one day at a time. It really does get better. It does. And your kids will thank you for it. Even though right now, like sometimes I deal with a lot of mom guilt, like today, it's my twin's birthday, but I have to work, you know, I have to work. And sometimes that's hard, but I just believe in 10 years, 20 years, when they're okay, they'll thank me for these days, you know?
They will. And they'll see these interviews on YouTube. That's my mom. Look at her.
How's your birthday, baby? Listen, I know.
What's interesting is my perspective is a little bit different, but similar also, because I had a mom who's a single mom who was a hustler. And so like a lot of like what I am is because I saw her doing it. And so it was really cool to see my mom work a full-time job, go to school at nighttime, studying on the weekends, doing whatever to buy her house, doing all these different things, which kind of like instilled that into me. So it's like a lot of what you're doing is you're making a better life for them, but you're also kind of modeling life for them too. So then they see like, okay, this is how we do it. We grind. We don't just chill and just complain all the time.
At all. We get it.
I like that. That's super motivating.
I'm curious, how much of like following like the divorce, was there like a chip on your shoulder? Like I gotta like prove everybody right.
You know, I would definitely say one of the things that really was the first source of motivation was, you know, I did not want my ex to see me in the same place. Like I was bent on that, you know, because, and you all know when relationships end, you know, there's feelings, you know what I'm saying? It's petty. There's feelings. There's all of that there. But I had to level up. Like I had to be in a different situation. I had to become a person he had never met. You know, I needed to own that because I got married so young. I was basically 19, 20. So for the better part of my like young adult life, it was he and I just needed to create a version of myself that belonged to me, that he could not claim any part of, you know? So yeah, that was definitely a big source of motivation. And that's what I tell a lot of my audience is whatever your why is, it's yours, you know? To other people that might seem like petty, but no, I needed to make sure he did not see me how he left me. You know, that was important. That was important for me. That was important for my kids as well. And I think that put a lot of fire behind me to level up at an exponential rate because, you know, I was like, I can't cuss, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. That's amazing though. That's definitely turning pain into profits. I mean, now you're on Instagram, you have over 336,000 in 2 years, because I met you back when pandemic first started.
I know. I took your course too.
And so it just goes to show like your growth and everything. And I'm just always in awe, like when I see you, because it's so inspiring to see somebody that, you know, was in the situation that you were in. You have 4 kids, you got divorced, and now you're literally inspiring. You've had over 40,000 students. You're on like, I would say a world tour, it might as well be. Yeah. And you're just doing all these things. So how do you feel like, and I don't want to say fame, I don't want to make you feel uncomfortable and be like fame, but like you're famous, like people know you. So how has your life changed in that regard? You know, like with you going out now, you're a public figure. So for you, for your kids, I know that there has to be extra protection. There has to just be more vigilance on you guys. Like how has that changed for you and how have you adapted?
Yeah, you know, when I go out places and people recognize me or they come up and, you know, tell me about their business or want to take a picture, it's still so extremely humbling and, you know, surprising, but it has made me really think about how I carry myself and how I am at all times, you know? Yeah. I'm always, because I recognize that I could be in an airport and it happens all the time and, you know, be stopped by 4 or 5 different people. I've really had to become aware of the fact that I don't just belong to myself anymore, you know? And that's been in some ways a challenge because I don't know that if I have a bad day, I just can't go outside. You know what I'm saying? Because if I'm having an off day and I go outside and someone catches me on an off day, it's going on Instagram.
You don't know what they're going to catch.
You know what I'm saying? So it's definitely made me very grateful and humble and also just aware of how I have to carry myself at all times because it's a walking representation, you know? Sometimes it's a lot to carry, but I really do appreciate when people approach me. It's really a nice thing. It really is.
I tell people that I think it's cool because that means that the marketing is working. It's like we do all these things known, so if people know it's like, okay, that worked. That was worth the investment of time, effort, and energy and money.
Yeah.
That's cool. For you, what was the product that took you to like a good place? I won't say the top because I think you
Yeah.
had different levels, but what was that product for you?
I would definitely say when I started teaching people about business credit and came out with my first business credit class, that definitely skyrocketed things. And, I always love talking about this because I never intended to teach people business credit. I knew about it having worked at American Express and at the startup company. I was always helping them to just make sure things were set up well so that we could get more capital. So I knew a lot about it, but it was never interesting enough to me to teach. But one day I just decided to make a post about it on Instagram. This is at the beginning when I'm really trying to figure out my voice. And I got so many questions, so many DMs, and I just decided to lean in. And so I think for a lot of the time, or people that are listening, when you're thinking about what business to start or what you think is going to sell, you need to let your audience tell you what they want, because if I would have just said, oh, well, I'm not interested, I very well may not be here right now, but I listened to what they wanted and I knew about it and said, okay, well, let me just give you more of what I know and charge, $45 and let's see where we go, So that I think was definitely the product that kind of took everything off. And I really decided to just stay there for a while. I think it can be very tempting to teach 1,000 different things, but I realized if I wanted to make this long term, I needed to just be known for one thing for a while. And that was business credit. Yeah.
And authority. I mean, I didn't really know too much about business credit, just the general, until you started really going off about it. Like you were going in. So that leads me
What's going on?
You were, girl. You was just like, it was, whether it was Twitter, whether it was Instagram. I was like, listen, I don't even know what this PG whatever means, but I need to have it. And if I don't, Ellie said so, like, what are we doing? But that leads me into imposter syndrome. So I know that with putting out courses or anytime someone wants to step up to the plate and believe in themselves, there's always that one little factor, that imposter syndrome that's just like, you can't do it, or you don't know enough to talk about it. How did you overcome that in its entirety? I mean, it's a lot.
Yes. Listen, imposter syndrome is so real. And I know y'all can relate. It is, I really think imposter syndrome is us not wanting to lean into the greatness that we already have. And so we just start doubting. But I think one of the things that I did to really tackle it, because even when I started teaching about business credit, I was nervous. I was nervous to teach about it for free. And I was really nervous to put a $20 price tag on it. That was the cost of some of my first programs. But what really helped me to counter it is to be honest with myself and authentic, and just really go back and make a list of what I honestly knew that I knew. I never encourage people to pretend to be something that they're not. I never would recommend that anyone just start teaching something because they think, because they see other people do it and they think they can. In order to overcome imposter syndrome, you have to make a list of your actual accomplishments and your actual know-how and stick right there. So because I could go back and track everything that I had done in my job and all that I had really worked on in that area, it gave me the confidence to say, like, no, you really do know this. Now just go and give that information to more people, And I think as well, as we start learning more and achieving more, that gives us the qualification to be able to share our experiences, whether you decide to teach it, whether you decide to just blog about it, whether you decide to make a course about it. We have to give ourselves permission to monetize our knowledge, and I don't know why a lot of the time for people in our community specifically, we don't want to do that. We are uncomfortable with putting a price tag on who we are and what we know how to do. But I think that that's not okay. We have to actively every day lean in and break that imposter syndrome and say, no, I do deserve to talk about this. I am qualified to be in this space, and I'm going to audaciously believe in myself until you believe in me too.
I think the interesting thing about it is when you have that maybe doubt from the community is you also have a lot of people who are cheering you on like enthusiastically. And you do the community a disservice when you like play into the people who don't support you and ignore the people who like or can't get enough of you. You have people who just like show up to your event, show up to all these things. They love to see you. And it's like, imagine we let these haters determine what we can or cannot create or put a price tag on. The people who will happily pay over and over and over again. There's people who have bought one of your products who have probably bought all of your products, and they became those raving fans. So it's interesting.
Yeah.
It's
very, very true.
So how do you navigate, when I asked you the last question, you said that you always have to watch how you carry yourself because everybody is looking for you to have a bad day. That one moment where they can just blast you. How do you really overcome the hate, the negativity, the people that just have obviously nothing better to do but keep your name in their mouth? Like, what do you do to combat that?
And yeah, like I remember the first time that someone like publicly tried to like slander me, and it was shocking because I'm cool with everyone. Like, I mean, that's just who I am as a person, but genuinely, I really want to have good relationships with people. So when that happened, it was really hard to deal with, especially because that was someone that I thought was a friend, I think that what I've learned to do is, what is it they always say? Some people are going to love you. Some people are going to hate you. Either way, it's attention, and I've just grown to be okay with it. And I know that what I'm doing, I'm not hurting anyone. I'm not cussing nobody out. I'm not taking nobody's money. I'm not taking nobody's man. I'm not doing anything that could possibly offend someone. So if someone does have a personal issue, it's just that it's personal, but I will always stay in my like decorum. I will always stay where I'm supposed to be because ultimately I care too much about my brand and my business to get out of pocket. Now, privately, if I'm on the phone with my homegirl or we're not on this camera right now, then there's a lot I will say, right? But it's just, I've very much learned to separate Ellie Talks Money and protecting that brand and that image from how Ellie personally feels about something, And I think that is what we have to do if we want to make our businesses last long term. They got to be separate from who we are, from who, you know what I'm saying? Like from our private feelings.
Definitely. And that comes with, I feel like personally, with a lot of emotional intelligence and just understanding like how much do you value your business? Is someone saying that you're not who you say you are, what you're saying is not real? Is that worth enough for you to sit and go back and forth with them? So I love that answer. I mean, so beautifully put together. Like, listen, you're not writing any checks that I can cash. So what are we talking about? So, so what's the ego versus confidence? You're such a confident woman. I love the way the essence of what you are, the way you allude, your smile, everything is so amazing. So it's like, people could always throw it in there. You have so much ego, too much ego, but it's like, how do you balance that? It's confidence, it's not ego. So
yeah, I feel like it's definitely not. I think ego is when you don't see anyone else outside of yourself. I think ego is seeing yourself as big, but then seeing everyone else as small. And to me, that's not right. Confidence means I know I'm everything I am, but you are also everything that you are. And we don't take from each other. Me being everything that I am is beautiful, and you standing right next to me also being everything that you are is also incredible. And I think it's hard for people to be in that space of shining with a lot of other people in the same place. And I've seen that in starting my business, that people want to be the only one, but you can't be the only star in the sky, It just doesn't work like that. And nor should you want to be, because there wouldn't be enough light, So I think I always just try to be mindful that, I'm just one person that God created who's walking my path. And as well, I'm Muslim, so I pray a lot. I'm very faithful. And one thing that we say in Islam, or that's in the Quran, is that what's meant for you will get to you, even if it has to come from under two mountains, and what's not for you will never come to you, even if it's right between your lips. And so I walk with that every single day. And so that helps me to have the confidence to know what's for me is for me, and that's just that. And also what's for you is for you, and I have nothing to do with that. So why would I be mad or jealous or send out an email?
I love that. Listen, she's on fire, guys.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, in terms of your faith, like, how does that help you in business? Because there's a lot of people who are Muslim and very successful. Dantes is one. I think Rashad Bilal of EYL is as well. And I know that there's a lot of things, I think, don't quote me on that, but I know that there's a lot of things that can sometimes come through religion and faith that also have application in business. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. I think, well, in Islam specifically, we are very disciplined because we have to make our 5 prayers a day. I'm also in Ramadan right now, so I'm fasting. I haven't had any water or food since last night. So we are very disciplined. We have to make a lot of sacrifices. And I think that is why in business, that comes naturally, that ability to remain disciplined, that ability to do what needs to be done, whether we really want to or not. It's just about, it has to happen. And then I think as well, when you have faith, but then in Islam, they also teach us faith is not enough. You have to really put, well, I know, and they say this in the Bible too, faith without works is dead. And that's something that I also really stand by. It's not enough for me to just ask God to change my circumstance. I could have prayed all day and every day when I was living at my mom's house getting EBT, but I would have still kept getting EBT. At a certain point, I realized I had to really put in the work. And that's where God's blessings come in, is when you work for it and he sees you toiling, and then he goes and adds some rain, right, to grow the crops. And so that's definitely something that I know my faith has really helped me with. And back to what you said, Michelle, about just having less ego, when you're praying 5 times a day, putting your head on the ground, you can't have an ego, because you just are reminded so constantly that I'm nothing, like, compared to God. I'm just the small agent on my mission that he set out for me, and then I'll go, So I think that really helps me to give 100% every single day, because I know that I don't own myself.
I love that. And I was on your Instagram this morning, and I caught some of your evening affirmations that you wrote down. Oh, yeah. And so I was like, listen, I do mine in the morning. I say them to myself, but I'm like, before I go to bed, to silence my mind, to really get myself to focus on what the next ultimate goal is and how we're going to get there, doing that. So how have you seen things increase just by the manifestation, by putting the pen to paper? Like, how does that really work for you? I mean, we could all see it, but I just want to know how to the go-to.
It definitely, it works, y'all. Like, it works. It works. And, I pray a lot, but I'm also big on my affirmations. And I believe you can absolutely manifest what you want through intentionally writing it down. I will say it's shown up a lot in my business, but I'll also say it's shown up in my personal life. And
I did see that little screenshot. I saw you might have got a boo. Okay. I was about to ask that, because next it said,
I will definitely say, because, after my divorce, it was hard. I was in an abusive marriage. It was very, very hard. I wasn't sure. I knew I wanted to be married again, but I'm like, I got 4 kids. It's going to take a real good man to want me and 4 kids. And I was discouraged. I was like, we all go through our days, but I just decided to take my pen to paper and write exactly what I wanted to see in my life and in that partner. And I wrote that probably mid last year, and I just would read it every single day, every single night, like you saw, every single night. And I'm telling you, Todd, Michelle, everything on that list is in this man that I'm dating.
Oh, I love that for you.
Every single thing. The only thing that's not is that he doesn't live in America. And I don't even mind that because I like having a little space. I'm not even mad.
She's got a lot of space. Listen, sis, can you slide that list over to me? Because I'm trying to.
No, I'm gonna send it to you. I'm gonna send you a picture of it because I think that what makes that happen is, and this works with anything. I just chose to use it for personal, but with business, with the success you want in terms of your students, when you write it down and then you read it every day, your subconscious mind will do everything to make that possible. So you'll find yourself trying different marketing tactics. You'll find yourself posting more if that's what it is. You'll find yourself updating the way that you do your email marketing. Everything will start to change in order to make what you're reading and telling your mind come true, So I think for me, and the way it happened with my personal life, I started changing the way I saw myself so that I could be open enough to even recognize that person and say yes to like giving them my number. You see what I mean? So you just begin to train your mind as to what you want to realize based on what's on that piece of paper. And then everything without you realizing it will start changing to make that come true.
That's amazing. I love
That's
that.
so deep.
It is, but it's so important because business in itself is deep. Becoming a business owner, deciding that you're going to take that leap of faith and go all in, bet on yourself. Like it's either going to work or it's going to work. One of Ellie's famous quotes. And I just think it's so important that we instill that in those that are looking up to us, is that there's certain practices that we do. For me, I love time management. I love productivity. I love having a good schedule. I love being solid on that because I know that I'm going to productively produce and not be booked and busy. So it's like for you, you have your systems, and that is one of your systems and it works for you. So what are some things that we can look forward to seeing? I mean, you're already amazing in everything you do. What are some things that we can look forward to seeing in this 2022 year coming?
Oh my goodness. I feel a lot of pressure this year, y'all. I'm not even going to lie, because it's officially my second year of business. And, after having such a big first year, I feel so much pressure to like do it again or to do even this bigger and better. But what I can definitely say you can expect is while I'm doing my tour, hopefully the last stop will be in Ghana in December. So get your tickets, get your passports, because y'all got to come. So we're working on that right now, which will be incredible. You guys will see a lot more of me on YouTube. I'm working on like expanding in that way and just more speaking engagements. I think, last year was really my year to get a lot of profit, which is great. This year is that too, but now I'm really focused on expanding the brand, and having more audience and just becoming a household name is what I would like.
2020, 2021 were very good years for like digital products, Instagram, but it seems like things have kind of changed a little bit.
That's a fact.
How are you approaching that?
Dog, that should be keeping me up at night. I'm sorry.
Listen, energy, because what is going on?
What's going on? Do y'all feel it too?
Yes.
There's a big shift happening. I don't quite understand what is happening. I think that 2020, 2021 were so big because everybody was at home and everybody was so eager to change their life. So they said, let me buy a course. You know what I'm saying? Which was great for us. Now people are, some of them are implementing the courses. Some of them have gone back to work. Some of them are trying to start their business. So I think people are just needing either different information in the course, or we have to convince them more is what it seems like, I don't know, but it's definitely something I've noticed too. And that's why a part of my business now is, okay, the courses are great, providing the education is great, but that's not enough now.
Mm-mm.
You know, now I have to go on YouTube, right? I have to expand beyond the brand and increase, I think, that trust factor.
I was just about to say that the credibility. I think that's really what it is, because during the pandemic, so many people became experts in their field. So many people became business coaches. So many people felt like they knew enough to charge these large numbers. It's taken the credibility down. So for people like us that know our stuff, have been in the game, have been doing it, we now have a point to prove. We now have to work as if we have a point to prove. And I think it's the credibility, because if you go down Twitter timeline, every other day someone's getting canceled for being a fraud. Every other day, you know, someone's doing this or doing that. And it's true, like you see it happening and it's just like, oh my gosh. Or, you know, a big thing too is a lot of coaches and stuff were complaining, I saw, about chargebacks. And they're charging these big, large numbers and they're not sustaining. So now you get one chargeback, you're charging people $5,000 to $10,000. Your business is done because you had no structure. You were just, you know, in here doing those things. So I think personally, it's a credibility thing. I think that there was just so many people selling fluff that now they're like, I'm not about to give up my coins that quick.
Yeah, I think it's a credibility thing too. I think people now want to know a little bit more before they buy, whereas at first they would just buy. I think now they want to like see and make sure and see you post and follow you for a while before they buy. And, you know, when you mention about the high price thing, it really is sad. And it's really quite frustrating, because I think that has made it hard for, like you said, a lot of us who are great content creators and great coaches and know our stuff. But, you know, I don't sell $1,000 products, $500 products. You know, I'm very comfortable in my $75 to $300 window, because I just think that's reasonable. Why, if you're wanting to start a business, why am I taking $5,000 from you in such a vulnerable space and time?
Yeah.
Why? Like, I feel like we show that we are confident enough in our knowledge where I'm confident to put $100 price point on my stuff, because I don't need to take you one person's $1,000. You know, that's the way I see it. I don't know.
No, and I love, but for you, you're in the business development stage of startup. So that's why your mind thinks like that. You know, I like working with high performing entrepreneurs. I like taking people that are already established.
Exactly.
So it's like, when you know where you're at in business development, you're able to create products that are going to fit your market. So I love that you said that and touched on that, because I see it happen so much. I mean, I've had coaching clients where they're like, Michelle, I had a chargeback. Like, what do I do? And it's like, you're following these gurus that are like 10,000. And then when it happens and then they come back for that money 6 months later, nobody tells you what to do to prepare yourself. And I just think that was so important to say, like, because you're in your lane, you know your audience, and you know what they're willing to spend, and not necessarily go back and charge it back if they're not satisfied.
Yeah. And it, you know, I think too, it's all about having tiered structures, you know. So I have my high ticket, but you're not going to find that on my Instagram, right? You know, you've got to come through a whole funnel, you've got to apply. And, you know, like you said, that's for a certain person. I think people should be more open to, instead of just doing what they see gurus doing, figure out what really works for your business. Because gurus tell me to raise my prices all the time. And I'm like, I got this. Thank you. Like, the way that it is, it works, you know? So I don't know, y'all. We're going to have to do a lot to sell these courses this year.
I think you going into the YouTube space and just doing more video content, doing more speaking engagements, that in itself gives a lot of credibility, because you're constantly putting it out. I mean, you're everywhere, Ellie. I don't know if you already know that. Like,
who am I?
To me, you're already a household name.
She is everywhere.
Oh my God.
But one of the things I was going to say is, it sounds like the pivot could also be towards more of those in-person events. And you've been doing a lot of those. So what's the strategy behind that? Because I've been seeing a lot of those.
Yeah. So the tour and deciding to really be visible this year is just that. I really wanted to counteract any possible thoughts or any possible lingering of, I'm just something, or I don't really know what I'm talking about, or I'm just hiding from behind the phone or the screen. You know, I really wanted to create that familiarity amongst people to where they trust me and really know she gave good information last year, and she's still giving good information. Like, she didn't just make her 3-4 million and dip. You know what I'm saying? She's really wanting to be a part of this for the long term. And that's why I don't charge for the events. It costs a lot to be on this self-funded tour, but I do all of them for free in every single city.
Wow.
In every single city, because it's really important for me that people can come and ask me a question on the spot and see that I don't have to Google the answer. I can really sit there and answer your question in a room full of 300 people and be nice to you and really care about your business, So I realized that it may mean my production and my profit in other areas doesn't do what it does last year, but my social capital will go up. And that I think can pay me forever, So it's also a bit of a sacrifice.
It makes for good content too. Cause I've been seeing what I like about you. A lot of people don't do this, but you create a lot of content, and it's content of you just living. Like, what's the strategy behind that? Because I don't think people can appreciate that enough, but what is the goal with that?
I really want, and I appreciate that. Thank you. I do, because I do really put a lot of thought and energy into my content. I want people to be able to relate to it. I want them to be able to share it and send it to people. And I want that to be what keeps bringing people to my page. When I'm creating my content, I try not to think of it as necessarily, overthinking on what to create. I call it documenting content. So I'm documenting walking to get some food. I'm documenting even this podcast episode right now. I'm documenting what I do in my life as a mom, as a business coach, as, a 7-figure earner, trying to figure all this out. And then I'm just taking the educational elements and adding that as words on the screen. I think that a lot of the time people want to create content that makes them look really cool, which is great. Awesome. Show off your outfit. I am not mad. But, I know that when you combine the nice looking video of you walking or showing off your outfit, plus 3 ways to make a $10,000, it just changes the quality, because now someone can appreciate what they're seeing, but they can also appreciate what they're learning. So that combination really changes the game. And I know somebody who's listening finna do this, so you're welcome.
Me, thank you, sis. I think that right now.
You're welcome.
Great content this weekend. No, that's cloth talk. That's real cloth talk. Like,
yes,
we're gonna show you how to make 10K. Like, that's what it is.
You see, it makes a difference.
When people see you out creating content, do you feel uncomfortable, or you just kind of like are used to it?
What? I really used to get very awkward, because I'm literally walking. Y'all have seen my videos. I'm walking from here and there. Sometimes I have to do it again. But, I just wave at them and laugh. And then sometimes they come and ask me a question. And I explain, this is what I do. I think I used to get awkward about it, but now when I do it at the airport or wherever, I use it as a way to start a conversation and explain, like, you can make a business of this. I am doing this, and it might look crazy to you, but this will pay me, and I want you to realize that it can pay you too. You just need to believe. And I love what you guys were saying earlier about, just how starting a business it is a challenge, and what we do is hard, but I also think it's like the ultimate show of self-confidence. And, I feel like nobody believes in themselves the way entrepreneurs do, and I've decided to just be like unapologetically audacious about myself, and not in a rude way. I'm never going to be rude to anyone, but I don't know why people aren't more comfortable believing in themselves. You are the only person you'll have for the rest of your life, and we spend so much time doubting ourselves. And that same amount of energy could be used to just tell ourselves every day that I'm number one, and I'm going to go after it, and I'm going to try. And, it works, because when you believe in yourself, it might take a little while, but people start believing in you too.
Right. It's so funny, because when you're out and you're creating content, you do feel kind of awkward, but when people see the end result, they end up like they buy into it too. And it's funny, I was at the Porsche dealership and I was creating some content. They took my content and put it on their page. And I'm like,
Yeah,
I could do this for you guys too.
Oh
And so,
yeah, I saw it go on the Porsche in Ontario. I was like, that is not Charles by that.
Right.
that is so cool.
I saw
around and
it.
give me
Yeah,
a free
that was
car
it.
or something.
That is so cool. And I mean, literally, y'all, it's a whole business. This content stuff is not going away. If anything, it's just getting more present. You know, if we can really master this, just like you said, other businesses will pay you to come in and create the content for their business, because TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, that is where the money resides. Like it's not on TV anymore like we thought. It's right in our phones.
Yeah. You made a comment, and this is going to be my last kind of question on content.
Yeah.
I want to talk about Africa too. You made a comment that content is a better investment than like the stock market, real estate, and I think something else too. What did you mean by that?
Yes. You know, I mean, no shade to stocks and trading and crypto, because, you know, I get you and I invest too. But I really do believe that if someone wants to quickly see a return on their investment of time or money, they should start creating content. You know, you absolutely can, depending on where you are with your following, you absolutely can decide to create reels every day for 30 days or 90 days and link them to a product or service in your bio, and you will start making money. That you don't have to have a lot of money to start with. I mean, I don't know if the stock market, if I can put $1,200 in and get 1.2 million out in 10 months, the way I did with my business. You know, $1,200 I put in, and really half less than that because I bought a phone and a ring light. And 10 months later, 7 figures in my account. You know, that's a huge return on investment that I think people are sleeping on because they think you have to be some person with 1 million followers, but I started with 300 followers.
Yeah.
And she's like 100x that now, because you're definitely at over 300,000. So
it's a bigger return, y'all. I mean, no shade, you know what I'm saying? But if you do want to see a return on your money, invest in a ring light, invest in taking the time to create content every single day, and you will run up a bag. It's just a fact.
Every single day. So
consistency.
You've been going back and forth to Africa. What's the inspiration behind that? And also, why Senegal?
Well, so, you know, I'm half Senegalese.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah. My dad is from Senegal, West Africa. Mm-hmm.
You have family there?
I do. I have all my family there. And then my ex is also Senegalese. So my kids are basically like 3/4 Senegalese. Yep. But I go back a lot. At first, it was just to see family, but now it's also for business. So I have Airbnbs there. I just bought 2 pieces of land there. So I'm really excited. And I'm working on building and buying a home. So I'm really glad you asked me this question, because I want our people specifically to know that this country is not the only country where you can get money. Like, in fact, there are more opportunities to become wealthy back in Africa than even here. And not just Senegal, Ghana, South Africa, Nigeria, because the way which things are moving, a lot more people are becoming touristically interested in Africa, and specifically West Africa, because of the music is number one. And as a result, you know, you can build, what I'm building is like a 3 apartment story, basically a triplex, for less than $100,000.
Oh.
And each of those apartments will rent for probably $2,500 a month.
Wow.
And that's a long-term renter. Airbnb could be like $6,000 a month. So, that's really, you know,
yeah,
it's very much worth it. And the only reason I didn't, you know, do it last year was because I needed to get a lot of tax write-offs. And so I had to like buy some cars and stuff like that. But this year, now that I have a little more control on things, I really want to focus on leveling that up, because there are so many ways to get money, you know, that aren't just here.
The images that we see of Africa, though, like we don't see the fancy stuff.
Yeah.
I've seen
That's why I'm
nice
always
videos.
on my stories. Every time I go back, I'm like, y'all need to see this. Y'all need to see
There
all
are
these
real
fancy
roads. What is he
restaurants.
talking about?
Yes, because truly, and I feel like it's done that way on purpose. It's not publicly shown how profitable Africa is because they only want the profits to go to the French, the British, and the Chinese, who are heavy investors in Africa. But they know. I mean, it's not uncommon to see G-Wagons riding down the street, Rolls Royces, Maybachs. There is so much money there, there's so much money. And I think that Black people have a real opportunity to close the wealth gap by, number one, investing, number two, starting a business, creating content, but then thirdly, by putting money in Africa. That is where we'll get our reparations, so to speak, and make more money than trying to stress ourselves to buy one home in the United States when that one home could be 5 in Africa.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Listen, you are becoming the household name. You're showing us what we can really do when we put our mind to it. So now I'm over here like, okay, Zillow, do they got what? Can we go see what house I'm a reserve now that I
know, but no, for real, I really want to have like a mastermind there, or once the house is built, hopefully next year, I really want to, instead of hosting my masterminds here, I would love for people to come there, even if it's just 20 or 30 people. I just think it would be so dope. So people can see another side and realize, now we can invest where we come from,
Right.
That's amazing. I think me and Charles are down. Millionaire podcast will be there.
Like,
ready to go, ready to create content.
Come on. But definitely get your passports ready for Ghana.
Oh, sis, I already got mine. Say less. Just let me know where to meet you when we're good.
Because that's gotta be amazing.
Before we head to the wrap questions, I know you had a PJ experience. What was that like?
What was that?
The private jet experience with.
Oh my gosh, y'all. For about 3 months after that, I kept asking my CPA, are you sure I can't buy this jet and make it a tax write-up? Are you sure? Is this not a good financial decision? Like, I was this close. I really wanted one. But it was really special. That was my first time ever on a private jet. And although the ride was short, we went from Vegas to LA. It just, what really stood out to me wasn't necessarily even being on the jet, but when we were on the tarmac to get on the jet, there were families, little kids, 3 years old, 5 years old. And it just made me think like, this is normal to them.
Yeah.
So I got to work harder because this is their probably 20th private jet ride and my first at 28, 29 years old, and that is what really stood out to me, that for some, this is their normal means of transportation. So what do I need to do for me to be able to afford for that to be my normal means of transportation? It was definitely motivating. It was definitely.
I love that. Shout out to you for riding the PJ.
Right.
I'm not even gonna lie, I loved it. The chips were all right. They could have had better snacks, but
I like it though, because that exposure definitely changes your mindset. Like once you get into different spaces, you start seeing things differently. You start spotting different opportunities, you become more motivated. All these things are what help people get to those higher levels in business. And you never knew it was because they had experienced something that pushed them to that level.
Yes.
That's cool.
And
what is something about this whole experience that you didn't expect?
Wow. About this whole experience that I didn't expect. I didn't expect that when you start making more money, you get more stressed. I didn't expect that. I thought everything got a lot easier once you have a lot of money,
More problems.
But really, I've realized that it's not like that. The more money you start to make, it's true, I guess, more money, more problems, but I think the more money you start to make, your appetite also changes, the things you want for yourself also change. Like asking EBT me, would I be okay with a few million? I would have said, absolutely. What do I need? But now that I've achieved it, I'm not okay. It's like, no, I need more. It's not enough, you know, and that's not coming from a place of greed, but you just realize that you don't want to stop. And the more you, like you said, Todd, the more you expose yourself, the bigger your eyes become, you know, and you just get on this almost hamster wheel. You feel like you're just running, you know? So I think that's the biggest thing that surprised me, is that I'm not content. I'm not satisfied with where I am, but I'm okay with that. You know, I think I'm okay with knowing that I have to keep working. I guess I just thought that I would be like more splurging my money, but I'm really not. Like, I'm still real cheap.
Yeah. What is a belief that you have that almost nobody agrees with you about?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Ooh.
Okay, Charles.
I know. What is a belief that I have that nobody agrees with?
Like in business.
I think I definitely know a belief that I have is that you can train people up. You can give people more time and chances to become how you need them to be versus just letting them go. And a lot of people on my team don't agree, especially my PR lady. You know, they're like, why don't you just fire them and get someone who's already there? But I believe that when you have somewhat of a connection with someone and you can see their potential, even though it takes longer and it might cost more, I believe it's more worthwhile to invest in that person to get them where you need them to be, because then that loyalty is there, versus if you find someone who's already complete at where they are, they may not have that same, stance where they want to stay with you even when times get hard, you know? So a lot of people don't agree with me. They feel like it's a waste of time and money. You might as well just find someone who's ready to do the job. But I think that there's benefit in teaching someone how to do the job, because then they'll stay with you and do the job longer. Hopefully.
That's funny. That's funny that's our answer, because before you got on, me and Charles were just talking about how like I wanted a new in-person admin and like it's easier to train somebody up, but like where do you come to the point where you got to cut the cord, where enough is enough? I've taught you enough, because at some point it comes to now I'm teaching you, but you're dragging me.
Yeah.
So if you don't do your job, I can't do my job. And if I can't do my job, then everything falls apart. So where's your turning cutting point at?
I think for me, and I actually just experienced this with someone, I think for me, it comes when there's disrespect or entitlement, you know? I think when you give people a lot of chances, then there's a little switch that happens where they start to think they're entitled to another chance. And when that shows up, you have to go, because now it's no longer you realizing that I'm doing it out of care for you. Now you think I'm doing it because I have no other option. And that is just never going to fly. You know? That's not, please.
No.
Yeah. Listen, nobody's irreplaceable.
Wow.
So I think that's really key. And you'll know when it happens, you know when someone is like playing at that point, and you got to let them go. You tried,
I love that. Oh my gosh. I feel so inspired. I need to go work hard enough to go get a PJ right now. Like,
right.
I feel
exactly.
We all need
PJ challenge.
All get on this PJ together, please.
Maybe we should have a PJ party, right? I mean, it just Charles, you brought it up. Ellie, I saw the pictures. I follow Cofield Carter.
Yes.
So like he's dope, and I saw you guys together and you guys had the contestant, and I was like, Ellie is so dope, man. She is so changing lives and giving experiences and just pouring everything you have into people. And I love to see it. Like, I can't wait to see you continue to win. And I just love supporting you, encouraging you. I just think you're such an amazing, phenomenal woman. And listen, I can soapbox all day about how great I think you are.
That is so special. I really commend both of you too. I think what I've loved the most about this journey is all the people I've met, and it's just been so great being able to have these conversations. And at one point I was just behind the screen liking y'all's tweets on Twitter, and posts on Instagram. So it is really cool just being able to make these connections. And I'm so grateful to the both of you guys. And we got to get lunch or something. Are you in LA too, Michelle?
I'm in Florida.
You'll be here, right?
No, but I'm going to start traveling more now that I got my cleaning business more under control with better employees. Cause I don't know if you guys have noticed, but nobody wants to work.
I know.
Yeah. So, but in the summer, I'm definitely going to be in Cali a lot. And I would love for us to do maybe even like a meetup, a lunch, or whatever. I think that would be really dope.
That'd be cool.
We need to do that. Absolutely.
I will contact your people, Charles. I got us. We'll get it together.
Right. Awesome.
It's gonna be amazing. Thank you.
So, last question is, where can people find you? Where can they follow you? Where can they support you have going on? What kind of specials or promotions are you running right now? What's going on?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Well, I always got something for y'all. So, you guys can always find me at EllieTalksMoney on every platform, YouTube, TikTok, anywhere, Instagram. And then EllieTalksMoney.com is where you can enroll in all my classes. I do have a bundle. It's called the Wealth Bundle, which is all my classes in one. So grants, business credit, Airbnb, list of lenders, Instagram, and I will do it for a little special price. So when you guys go there, just enter code Todd, and you guys will get about 50% off. I already prepared it for you.
Awesome.
So enter code Todd, and y'all be good.
Enter code Todd. Last question is, what does wealth mean to you?
What does wealth mean to me? Wealth to me definitely means freedom and options. I think that, when you are wealthy, you have the freedom to make any choice that you want. You have the ability to choose how to spend your time, who to spend it with, where to go and spend it, and I think wealth also means peace, like just truly peace. Like there's a certain energy you walk through life and your day with when your bills are paid, your kids are set, you can help someone if you wanted to, and I think that is the type of peace we're all truly searching for, is just that level of wealth. So I hope we gonna get there.
Yeah.
And PJs every Friday.
You can make it a whole thing. Don't listen. I'm the I will schedule it for all of us. Don't worry, I got us. Okay.
Exactly.
Thank you for coming on the show. Michelle, do you have anything you want to share with the people? Anything you got going on?
Just the usual, guys, just out here thugging with this productivity and time management.
I love it.
Yes. And being an amazing mom. Yes. And the kids are like running in now because I was telling them about you and I was like, guys, I know this, I know Ellie. I was like, go on her Instagram. So my oldest son went and looked you up and she was like, you're gonna see, he's right there. You're gonna interview her. I was like, yes, I know. So just keep being inspiring. But yes, anything that I can do for you, Ellie, as far as time management, productivity.
Yes, I'm gonna definitely text
audience, whatever, girl, I got you.
Because I need that in my life.
Yes, we'll connect. Don't worry, we'll connect.
Well, thank you to all the people who tuned in on YouTube. I see the chat going crazy. So shout out to you guys.
Oh, yay. Oh, this is live on YouTube. That's so dope. On YouTube.
So click the link in the bio, click the link in the show notes. We'll have all that information for you guys so you can participate and take advantage of that offer. And also don't forget about the Todd Capital products, man. Don't forget about the options course. Don't forget about the Freedom Pack. Don't forget about any of those really cool things we're offering.
Period.
So with that, another episode of the Millionaire Talk Show. Shout out to Michelle for holding it down. I appreciate you adding that extra energy to the show.
Yeah.
And we'll keep rocking out. So another episode and we're out of here.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.